In dielectrics, we are discussing various types of polarizations, under which we have already seen something related to electronic polarization and ionic polarization. Now we shall try to understand orientation polarization, or also known as dipolar polarization. In certain materials, certain molecules will have their structure is arranged in such a way that it acts as a dipole with permanent dipole moments. So such molecules are known as polar molecules. So you have to understand something called polar molecules. What are these molecules? In some of the materials, certain molecules will have a structure such that it acts as a dipole with permanent dipole moments. Such molecules are called as polar molecules. And the dielectric corresponding to that is the corresponding dielectric in such molecules is what is known as polar dielectric. So let us see, in polar dielectrics, in the absence of electric field what will happen, and in the presence of electric field what will happen. Consider a specimen of polar dielectric where there is no electric field. The molecules are oriented randomly. So in the absence of electric field, the orientation of the dipoles, which are nothing but polar molecules, are at random, because of which there is no net dipole moment that can exist here. So therefore it acts as non-polarized, like in this diagram. On the other hand, when you apply electric field, then automatically the molecular dipoles rotate about their axis of symmetry and aligned with the applied field. Like the moment you apply electric field, so there is an alignment you can observe in these molecules. So when the electric field is impressed, the molecular dipoles rotate about their axis of symmetry aligned with the applied field. So in case of electronic and ionic polarization earlier, the force due to external field is balanced by the restoring force due to Coulombian attraction. But in this orientation polarization, restoring force do not exist. But dipole alignment is counteracted by thermal agitation. That means there is heat related agitation that takes place. So the higher the temperature, the greater is the thermal agitation. So therefore the dipoles can turn through small angles like this. Not perfectly aligned, but through small angles they rotate. So even in the case of liquids and gases also, where the molecules are free to rotate, a complete alignment cannot be achieved due to the randomizing effect of the temperature. But however, it is estimated that it is sufficient if one molecular dipole in 10 power 3, 10 power dipole in 10 power 5 completely aligns, that means in the time it completely aligns with the field to produce the orientation polarization of the order of electronic polarization. Thus, orientation polarization is strongly temperature dependent. In the case of solids, the fraction of a polar molecule may be highly restricted by the lattice forces, leading to a great reduction of their contribution to polarization. Because the process of orientation polarization involves rotation of the molecules, so it takes naturally relatively longer time than the other two types of polarization. For example, the build-up time is of the order of something like 10 power minus 10 seconds. So therefore, if you look at the average induced orientation dipole moment. Dipole moment is mu, orientation dipole moment, therefore you are taking an average that is approximately equal to polarizability, that is orientation polarizability with respect to the field. Here alpha naught or alpha 0 is the orientation possibility. So, but orientation polarizability can be given as mu square by 3 kBt. This is the Boltzmann constant. Kb is the Boltzmann constant. Mu is the permanent dipole moment of the dipole. Kb is the Boltzmann constant, and T is the absolute temperature of the dielectric. So, suppose if there are n number of dipoles per unit volume, then you can calculate orientation polarizability as n alpha naught E. Also P naught can be alpha naught, you can substitute here. So n mu square E by 3 kBt. So for alpha naught I substituted this value. So from this relation, if you observe, it is very clear that orientation polarization is inversely proportional to the absolute temperature and is proportional directly to the square of the permanent dipole. That means P naught is directly proportional to mu square, P naught is proportional to 1 by T. So that is what it means by saying that orientation polarizability is inversely proportional to the temperature and is directly proportional to square of the permanent dipole moment. This is what is to be understood from the types of polarizations. Now, take a polarized dielectric. Now, in this polarized dielectric, if you take inside, so inside of a polarized dielectric, if you take, we want to find out total resultant electric field acting on an atom. So inside the polarized dielectric field, we would like to know the total resultant electric field acting on an atom. This is what is termed as something called local field, or also known as internal field. So local field is nothing but the total resultant electric field acting on an atom inside the polarized dielectric field. So inside the polarized dielectric, if you can find the total resultant electric field acting on an atom, it is what is to be defined as local field, or also known as internal field. So this is very crucial to be understood for further discussion. Let us see how you can find it. So you want to find an expression. You want to find an equation for this local field on an atom. So for that, what I will be doing is, so I have taken a dielectric environment. Inside the dielectric, I am considering an atom, magnified view. A, let us say, atom. This dielectric is placed inside a charged plate capacitor. So this dielectric is placed in a charged plate capacitor, which It is connected to an external field, let us say. Now due to this, you will have induced charges nearer to the plates on either side of dielectric. Got the point? I am repeating. I am taking a dielectric field, dielectric material. Inside that, I am considering an atom at this position, and this entire dielectric is kept between two charged plates of a capacitor given an external potential. Due to this, induced field is created on either side of the surface nearer to these plates. Let us see what will happen. Here I imagine that I kept at A, I am considering an atom. Now this circular region, I am considering a spherical region around this atom. This is not the whole atom. The atom is at A only. So this area is considered a spherical region around the atom to calculate the field at this point. So let us describe this. What we are doing? We are considering an atom at point A. Where it is? It is inside the dielectric. Where the dielectric is placed? Which is placed inside a charged parallel plate capacitor. So I kept a dielectric material inside a parallel plate capacitor, charged parallel plate capacitor. So what does it mean? In that I am considering a point A, where assuming that there is an atom. So naturally when you do like this, the dielectric is polarized in the electric field across the charged plates. So naturally electric field is, that implies dielectric is polarized. In the electric field across the charged plates. Now here, as per Lorentz method or theory, there is another approach given by the scientist. As per his theory, imagine a spherical region with the atom A at the center, so that the spherical region can cover the maximum surface of the polarized dielectric as shown here. So due to this charged capacitor, right, let us say electric field is acting. E1 is the electric field due to the charged capacitor. So as per Lorentz method, imagine a spherical region with the atom at A as center. What will happen if you imagine like that? If you imagine like that, the spherical region will naturally cover maximum surface of polarized dielectric. So you are almost covering the maximum surface of the polarized dielectric. Now you have different fields that are being created. Various types of electric fields will be observed here. Now you are considering one electric field, E1. What is E1? It is electric field due to charged capacity. Okay, this one. Because of this, what happened? There is a charge induced. Understood or not? So therefore, on the dielectric, you have a field created in the opposite direction. E2 is another field that is created. So what is E2? So let us understand E2. E2 is the electric field due to induced charges on the dielectric. Okay. Now here, if you see carefully, because of this, field is induced here. Similarly here also. This is E3, this is E4. Field E3, field E4. Let us see what it is. So you have another field called E3. What is E3? E3 is the electric field due to surface charges on the spherical region. E3 is the surface charges on the spherical region. Sorry, E4. E4 is the surface charges on the spherical region. What is E3? E3 is the field due to dipoles present within the spherical region. So therefore, this E3 you are talking about, this E3 is the field due to dipoles present within spherical region. So there are 4 different fields you can observe. You are taking a dielectric, you are considering an atom at a point A inside the dielectric. This dielectric is kept between the charged plates. So we are imagining spherical region with center as A to cover the maximum part of the dielectric surface. Because of this charged plate capacitor, electric field is created, that is E1. That is the electric field due to charged plate capacitor, and because of that, electric field is created due to induced charges on the dielectric, that is E2 acting in the opposite direction. Now because of this, you will find field induced due to the dipoles present within the spherical region, that is E3, and E4 is the field due to the surface charges on the spherical region. So thus, there are 4 different electric fields that are created here. So the total electric field on an atom at a point A inside the dielectric is the sum of all the four fields. So we have 4 different fields like E1, E2, E3 here and E4. Now we will find the total electric field here. So the total electric field on an atom at point A inside the dielectric is what we call as local field, or I told you it is also called internal field. It is represented as EI. Now EI can be E1 plus E2 plus E3 plus E4. Sum of all. Now, applied electric field and induced electric field are acting opposite to each other. So because of this, let us say, because of E1 and E2, let the resultant field be E, which is E1 minus E2. This is the resultant field due to E1 and E2. So let E be the resultant field due to E1 and E2. That is one consideration. Now if you carefully observe here, for a cubic structure, due to symmetrical distribution of charges within the spherical regions, this field will be zero. Again I am repeating. For a cubic structure, due to symmetrical distribution of charges within the spherical region, this field will be zero also. So, for a cubic structure, due to symmetrical distribution of charges within the spherical region, field inside is zero. Field inside is E3 is zero. Now field inside is E3 0. The resultant electric field due to E1, E2 is E. And these two if you apply here, then naturally it gives you E2 is equal to E plus E4. EI is equal to E plus E4. This is E. Resultant of E1 and E2 is E. E3 is 0. So therefore we are left with EI is equal to E plus E4. So this is the expression for local field. We can calculate the value of this field E4. Geometrically we can calculate with a enlarged view of the spherical region, we can calculate the value of this expression. Value of E we can calculate. Value of E4 we will calculate, and then we will substitute so that we will get the value of the internal field, which we will be using in the later on expressions. So in this expression, the value of E4 is calculated to be P by 3 epsilon naught. So naturally EI will become E plus P by 3 epsilon. Now how E4 can be equal to P by 3 epsilon naught? We can calculate, though it's beyond our discussion. Still, when time permits, I will show you how we can get E4 as P by 3 epsilon naught. What we will do for that? We will take the enlarged view of the spherical region and take a small area of the sphere, say taking certain radius between two different angles, where the angle is the direction with reference to the direction of the applied field, and then calculate the value using trigonometric and differentiation values. We will arrive at value of E4 to be P by 3 epsilon. So when we substitute this value of E4 to be P by 3 epsilon naught, we will finally get the value of local field as, or internal field as, EI is equal to E plus P by 3 epsilon naught. Based on this background, we'll find the relation between the dielectric constant and the polarizability of the polarized dielectric, which what we call as Clausius-Mossetti equation or Clausius-Mossetti relation, which is nothing but a relation between the dielectric constant and the polarizability of a polarized dielectric. So that is the next step we are going to see.